I mean, travelling with a disability can be really interesting because you'll ring places up, ask about access, and you don't necessarily get the truth about that. So it can be quite a challenge when travelling with a disability. So I think it's really about just keeping an open mind and knowing what kind of questions to ask, but also to know that you can actually say, well, I need this as well once you get somewhere. This bag is really cool and it's been a lifesaver for me. It attaches to the back of my wheelchair and it's multi-directional with the wheels, which means that it will go anywhere that I go and it will turn as I turn. And it's also got a little backpack as well, which you can take onto the plane. So that's been really good for independence because it means that I don't have to get somebody else to carry my luggage. And because it's counterbalance the weight in it, you can't actually feel, you don't feel like you're pulling, 40 kilos. You can feel something's behind you, but you're not feeling the weight, which is really, really useful. And it's easy to get on and off. You just clip it on and off while you're in the chair. So that was really good. And I got that because I love traveling overseas. But basically since I've had that, I haven't been able to travel overseas. Like everybody else, we're not able to travel at the moment. Again, talking about sailing, so this is on the tall ship. So that's 20 metres up the crow's nest. And the first time I got to the crow's nest on the first trip, they put me into a chair and they hoisted me up. So they did all the work. And then when I was in Holland, I was going up and they asked me whether I wanted to do it myself. And so I hoisted myself up the 20 metres to get onto the top of the crow's nest, and it was amazing, just the view, etc. So again, it's all about being adaptive because they have different options. So whether you can do it by yourself or partly by yourself, or you need complete assistance, they'll get you up. If somebody wasn't able to walk very well, they could still get up if they got assistance, etc., which was pretty cool. And that was like me with the harness on to be able to hoist up. And over in Amsterdam on one of the swings, over 100 metres up in the air, that was pretty cool.
You don't like heights, do you?
I love my heights. I don't like birds. I'm absolutely terrified of birds, which is quite interesting, but I love heights. But I find this photo funny because all the photos that they had were, they have a little footstool on that seat, so people's feet were on the footstool, so you couldn't see their shoes. But because I can't control my legs just flew out, and as we were swinging, my legs were just going up and down, up and down. But yeah, so you can see my shoes, so can't see anybody else's. And this is on the ship too, and that whole adaptive experience. So those 2 trips that I did on that tall ship were probably the best trips I've ever had because of the inclusion that was on those ships. So you had people that didn't have disability and you had people with disability on the ship, but everybody was expected to pull their weight because you were sailing that ship, and you're also feeding everybody. So that's like, I actually was trying to get out of having to peel potatoes and carrots and like chop them and all the rest of it. And I tried to use the wheelchair as the excuse. Didn't work. So I still had to do the work, which I think is really, really good because it just shows that everybody was equal and you did as much as you possibly could do. And kayaking again, so that's in a different location in Pete's Ridge, which is up near Central Coast, which is pretty cool. And travelling, so being up at Northern Territory, it's my favourite place in Australia. I love Northern Territory. I just think it's an awesome place, and riding a camel was interesting, like trying to hold on, but it was fun. And the other photo is when I was in Thailand, so I was in Bangkok, and they told me the location I was going to had wheelchair access, and I got there and there was well over 100 stairs to get down, and I was like, oh great. So, but in saying that, they had 6 of the police officers like coming to my like aid within like 30 seconds, and they were carrying me. And as Cassie said before, she couldn't tell whether I look happy or terrified in the photo, combination. So I was literally terrified, more because they didn't speak English, so I couldn't really communicate how to help me, and they were just choosing to help. But when I then saw that there was 4 of them doing it, I'm like, well, I've got no choice, so they're going to do it. And it was a good experience, and I was really like happy about how quick and how nice they were about it. And that's where that adaptive and inclusion comes in, when people are actually just nice, and people just go, you know what, you're gonna do, you know, we want you to participate in the same way, so we're just not gonna make a big fuss about it. And it was pretty cool. And Ayers Rock, so walked around the base of Ayers Rock, and we're having a bit of a debate. And we don't know whether it's 10 kilometres or 11 kilometres. I think it's 10, but so around 10 or 11 kilometres. All I know is about 4 kilometres of it is quite easy to get around. The other 6 is not. So at the end of it, I was literally red from dirt, like top to bottom. And at the end, I remember getting into the bus afterwards, and I took a couple painkillers because I knew I was going to be sore like for quite some time. But it was a really good experience, and I'm glad I did it. And this is up in Northern Territory too, at Litchfield National Park, which is a big waterfall that they have there. It's the only waterfall I've ever been in since I've been in a chair, but it had ramp access to get in, which is really cool. And this particular waterfall is crocodile infested 9 months of the year. So we were there on the 3 months of the year. And the part that was funny, my dad and I were on a bus tour, and the bus driver like turned around and said, oh, because everyone was a bit scared about going into the water, and the bus driver turned around and said, oh, don't worry, we'll throw Mel in first, because if they get a leg, she's not going to feel it anyway. Everybody was mortified, but me and my dad were killing ourselves laughing. We thought it was funny and stuff. So I did actually go in first, and then I'm still here. So obviously there was no crocodiles in the water.